Hi everybody, Taya here from Quilting Delights, and we are on our second class for the Machine Quilting Primer, our second quilting class. Our first class was all about how to make it, and our second class was on how to do some of the designs with the straight ruler, and now we're going to start working on our curves. So let me tell you a little bit about how I like to do my ruler work quilting. Because I'm a perfectionist, I can't just freeform it. I'm not good enough yet to be able to do that. So I like to mark everything. And when we marked this, we marked it using our stitching line discs, and then we traced it off. And you guys have the master patterns for how to trace these off. But we used the stitching line discs when we designed it. So I want to make sure that everyone understands that these stitching line discs are your best friend when it comes to design work, because you're going to be able to use them to mark exactly where things are going to land. Okay, now this is the first curved ruler that we're going to be doing, and lots of people have had questions about how to do a circle, and so I want to talk about that a little bit, because if you have a regular ruler work foot, you of course can go all the way around. But with the Bernina stitch regulator, the footprint of the stitch regulator doesn't allow you to do a full circle unless you turn your fabric. Well, we don't want to turn our fabric. And so on this particular block, we are using the circle ruler to do clamshells. And I love it because this is a 3-inch circle and we have really good markings. Now there are lots of good brands out there. We happen to have a Amanda Murphy good measure ruler right here. But you can see where you're going to line up your markings on the bottom of the block. Now, because the stitch regulator attachments go a little bit to the left, we're going to start on the right-hand side and work our way over. And we're going to do that on every row. And when we're done here, I'll show you why you can't go on the right side, because you can't get that 1/4 inch with the footprint. So we're going to start here. I've already done a needle up, needle down. I'm going to lengthen my stitch to 3, because remember the 2.0 is just a little bit too tight. And I have touched 1 on my Bernina screen, because when I stop moving, I want the needle to stop moving. I do not want it to stitch in place. I've got my Easy Glide sheet on underneath. I bunch everything up as close as I can get it, so I've got lots of room to move. And we're going to start stitching. I've already brought my thread up and my needle's in the down position. I'm going to line up my ruler so that the line goes straight across, and I'm going to activate my machine, my stitch regulator, and we're off. So I'm just holding on to the ruler, and as I get around here, I'm going to turn it just a little bit so that I can stay on the edge of the ruler. And then when I get to the bottom, I'm going to put my needle in the down position by turning it off, and we're going to do that again. So we just have a little tiny bit of fabric turn that we have to do. Again, we're lining up the ruler here, and we're going to start stitching around. Lots of people have been asking about how to stitch a circle, and please remember to move your hand when you do this so that you don't we're just going to turn it a little tiny bit to get that circle, and then turn it off, and then I'm going to go to the next one, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I haven't stitched my finger down yet, and let's just say we're not going to do that today. And last curve on this side. And I don't know if you're noticing when I'm turning that I actually have my elbow seated on the fabric, and I'm using that to help turn it as I go. So here's our first row. It looks really good. And I'm going to do a start and stop at the end of each one of these. Again, not because our stitch regulator attachment doesn't allow it, but the BSR doesn't allow us to make that turn going the other direction. Then we would be on this side of it. So I'm just going to start and stop at the beginning of each row, and we're going to go to the top, and then let me show you how easy it is to do the free motion on this block with these extra little swirls that we added in. Let me find one that's a little easier. We'll do this one. This is a little rainbow, and I'm just going to put my foot down and needle up, needle down. And again, because we have a pattern to follow, it allows us to do that very, very quickly and very efficiently. So watch this. And that's how you do free motion work quickly and efficiently. It's all about marking your quilts before you get started. Okay, so we finished that block. Now we're going to move on to the one with the wave ruler. And this one I was telling you about is a handyquilter.com Wave D. This has been one of my favorite rulers. I've had it for years. We do not sell these, but you can go on Handy Quilter's site or on Amazon and pick these up. So again, we're going to start from, I have the majority of the quilt to the outside. We're going to start on the right-hand side and work our way left. And on this one, we do not need to start and stop at every row. We are, however, going to start at the top right, work our way down and over to the left, and we're going to stitch in the ditch to get to the next line so that we're not doing a bunch of starts and stops. I've set my machine up and I'm ready to go. Okay, we're going to do all of our lines across that way, and then we're going to rotate it, and we're going to do all of our lines the other direction. So that's how we're going to work on that block. And let's do one more, and that'll give you enough homework to do for this session. Now the other thing that I want you to do is I really want you to work on these circles on the outside. We'll get to that third block here in just a second. But I want you to work on these circles on the outside. This is going to be free motion, but it is a great opportunity for you to learn how to master the movement of the quilt. So let's do one circle, one set of circles. Again, I call these deviled eggs. And you're going to work with the majority of your fabric to the outside of your machine. You want the least amount of fabric in the throat of your machine. So I'm going to needle up, needle down to get that up. And I'm a clockwise person, so when I quilt this in a circle, I'm going to quilt clockwise. And it's just that simple to do those circles, and they look great. Sometimes ruler work is as much about marking your quilts as it is about using the ruler to quilt with. So we're going to do all of our circles around the outside border this time, and 3 blocks. Let's do one more. Okay, our third block for today is all these funny little triangles that make a great backfill. Now, you can add more to this if you want to by filling in the background around the triangles, but I really just like the triangles as a great fill effect. We did a geometric one last time that was just all meandering squares. This is now meandering triangles. And the way we're going to quilt this one, we had a little work session on this, trying to figure out how to most easily quilt this. And you can't do each triangle because that would be like 5,000 starts and stops on the thread. But here's what you can do. You can start, let's say for example, we're going to start right here. We're going to start here. I'm going to go across and over and across and over and across and over and across and over. Then when we get to the other end, it's going to come to the point and we're going to come back this way, across, over, across, over, across, over, across, over, and we're going to finish off the other side. So the goal is not to go to each center point, but to have a crossover point so that it looks like it was on purpose and each triangle was done separately. So let's see what that looks like with our ruler. We're going to start from the bottom and work our way to the top on each one of these. So let's get that set up. All right, I've already set my stitch length at 3. I'm going to do a needle up, needle down with my ruler far away from my foot, raise my foot. You have to raise your foot to get the tension to release on your thread. And then we're going to get started here. And on this, when you're doing straight line quilting, you can run the ruler on the right hand side of the stitch regulator. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to go to the top. And I'm going to go back this way. And then I'm going to go to the top. I love being able to stitch these really amazing straight lines. I'm going to stop that one, reset my fabric. As the lines get longer, it's easier for me to stop and reset my ruler. And remember, these do not have to be absolutely perfect. We just want to get the structure of it set. And it's just that easy. So we're going to do all four of these just like that, and you'll have this block done and be ready to go on to the next block. That's 3 more blocks this session. We have 1 more class, and we're going to teach you how to do the 3 hardest blocks now that you've got some practice. And we've already covered how to do the borders. We did that in the first class. You've got instruction now on what to do with the circles in the lighter colored one, and we are on the home stretch of this quilt. Thank you all for joining us. Please remember to subscribe on YouTube. Tell your friends, share, and let us know what we can do to help you. Also, we'd love to see your postings on Facebook. We'd like to see what you guys are up to with the Bernina stitch regulator and the compatible ruler attachments. And we will look forward to seeing you in the next class.